Hey, Matt, can you go onto the Pioneer Midwest YouTube and check to see audio? Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even see you in here yet, but are you watching, listening? Hello? You hear me? All right, cool. Do you want to share that link to like Midwest Nordic or something? All right, cool. All right, so I think that we have some people slowly starting to come in. I've got our stream started on YouTube. Welcome everybody. For those that are unaware of who I am, my name is Jeremy Hecker. I'm the racing service manager at Pioneer Midwest. I deal mostly with waxing skis, grinding skis, selling wax. But when I'm not doing that, I'm also selling skis and selling clothing and fixing problems and pretty much everything that you can think of, I take care of, and Matt takes care of, and Ian takes care of. We all take care of everything. If you have any issues at all with anything ever, you can come find any of us, and we're probably going to figure out a way to help you guys out. Just a couple things about this clinic. We are recording this on YouTube, so it is currently on YouTube Live. Hopefully, it seems like audio should be okay. So if you want to watch back, it will be on our YouTube channel afterwards. So you don't have to take as detailed notes as you want. You can just listen or whatever. Also, for those that haven't done it yet, we will do this after I'm done with kind of the first part of the clinic, but we will have a raffle going over some prizes. We're just going to need a first and last name from you guys. We will get you time to do that prior to the drawing. So if you haven't done it yet, don't worry. We'll get your guys' name in. So that being said, I'm going to try and go through this briefly as I can without being too brief or too long. There will be room and time for more extensive Q&A after our raffle. So there's going to be like a 10, 15-minute break where we're doing the raffle. I can get another beer. And afterwards, we're going to do another Q&A session. But if at any point during this clinic, if there's like, hey, Jeremy, you're really missing something, or I'm confused, feel free to stop me and I can answer a question about the specific thing I'm working on at that time. Great. Is there any questions before we get started? I'm assuming that everybody that's here knows why you're here. So this is a beginner wax clinic. Oh, great. So we have a tarp that is going to get put in place. Yeah, this aside. Cool. Oh, that's probably good enough. Yeah, if we can get a couple. Perfect. It's probably fine just like that. Perfect. Thank you. There's that, and all right. Computer. Okay, so if anybody in the YouTube chat, if audio's bad or anything like that, if you have questions, you can post them in there, and I will try to pay attention. Otherwise, we'll have Matt Clark also just keep an eye on the comments. So, great. Well, let's get started here. So this is going to be a clinic. I've done this clinic now here at this brewery for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's roughly the same every year. But I try to have different focuses each year. So I know that last year, one of my main focuses I was talking about was how to create a really nice wax box without spending a lot of money. So I'll kind of highlight on that a little bit throughout this clinic, where you basically just have like one melt-on wax, and that's the only melt-on wax you need, and then you can use some liquid waxes. This year I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to use or what I wanted to do as my highlight or my focus for this clinic. And the thing that I get questions about so frequently is wrapping around to our Berkey race service, and is, why should I pay you $130 to do Berkey race service versus I can go buy the wax myself for roughly the same price, apply it, and then I also can apply it to another 20 or 30 pair of skis because you're buying your wax and you own the wax. And the biggest reason why I always say what you're paying for when you're doing our Berkey race service is, one, you're getting experience. You're getting me waxing your skis. You're getting Matt Clark waxing the skis, Ian Ivins waxing the skis, Max Anderson and Corey Mitchell, all of whom have waxed on the World Cup, at the Minneapolis World Cup. But besides that, tools. And tools is kind of the biggest piece that sets what we do at our shop apart from what most people are doing on their own, is just investing into nice tools. So I'm going to kind of highlight some tools that I really like to focus on. And I think that can make a big difference in the way that you guys are waxing skis at home. So that's going to be kind of the main focus of this clinic tonight, is more talking about tools and why I think upgrading some certain tools, not going to the highest end, super expensive stuff like irons. I'll talk about irons. But just some meaningful upgrades that are really going to make a big impact in your waxing ability at home. So we're going to start off with the clinic. Let me grab a pair of skis. So starting off, very first portion of waxing skis. And with this, I know there's going to be a wide range of, it's a broken ski. There's a wide range of waxing ability here. I know there's going to be some people that are going to be basically never touching an iron ever in their life. You're only going to be using liquids. There's others that want to do everything. And I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of everything and just highlight certain pieces of that. So with this, we're going to start off with the mindset that we are going to hot wax our skis. If you're not hot waxing your skis, this very first step is still really important. So the first step that we're going to be doing is cleaning. So we're going to use a glide cleaner. So I actually have glide cleaner in this bottle here. So this is an old bottle of G21 or NF21 from Rex that I've repurposed into a glide cleaner bottle. So you can pop the lid off, and then I put the glide cleaner in here, and then I now have a nifty applicator for that glide cleaner. Most of the glide cleaners will have just an open top bottle that you need to apply with some fiber cloth. So I just prefer this applicator myself because I can just apply it to the ski just like this without having to dirty up a fiber cloth. Over time, this applicator does get dirty, does get kind of gunky and gross. So I go through these bottles fast enough that I can just keep on replacing that applicator. But yeah, so with glide cleaning, I will apply this glide cleaner to the ski so that the ski is completely wet. And then while wet, I'm going to take my cleaning brush, which is going to be a metal brush, and brush it down the ski. One direction all the way down. Yep. So this is my cleaning specific brush. A lot of people would label this cleaning brush or clean brush or wet brush or whatever you want to label it. You can label it as that. For me, I just know this is my cleaning brush because it's my brass brush. So I really like this brush as a cleaning brush. Has soft enough bristles that it can dig into the structure and clean the structure out. It's not a super expensive brush either. So you're not getting into a steel brush where, steel brushes would do that same job better, but you're not really needing it to do anything super specific. So, yeah. Yeah, so the question was, and this is for the YouTube here, the question was if I should scrub more or if that's enough. Really, that is more than enough for the cleaning process because I'm not scraping the ski and I'm not trying to get wax out of the ski. I'm just trying to get the dirt and residue that's in that ski, kind of lift that up out of the ski base, and it will get hooked up into that solvent. Once the solvent and the paraffin dries, and you'll kind of see that here it gets a little dusty here. Then I can brush that off, and that's brushing off all the dirt and solvent and gunk and everything with it. So I'm going to do that to both skis here. Is that what the purpose of the brushing is? Yep. The purpose of the brushing. So this right now, basically, I'm applying soap to the ski, and the dirt is kind of just sitting in the ski. It's not really doing much. But if I can, while it is wet, brush, it's kind of like the scrubbing. Like you're not just going to take your dirty pans, dump some soap on the pan, put it underneath the water, and be like, okay, now it's clean. You kind of got to scrub it with a brush or something like that to get your pans clean. That's the same, in essence, the same thing I'm doing here. So I'm scrubbing with a brush. I'm not scrubbing, but I'm cleaning with a brush, and that's going to help pick the dirt up off the ski, get it dislodged from the ski, and it's going to sit into that wax, that paraffin that's in this wet ski. So now that I have it brought up, while this is drying, the dirt will dry in with the wax paraffin. And then the next step, once that is dry, so this ski is now dry. And you can see, especially like down here on the tips, you can see all that right there. Same thing, you see this wet stuff right here. That white stuff, that is the paraffin that has now dried. So then I will take that same cleaning brush, same direction, brush this out, and I'm now brushing that paraffin, that dirty paraffin off the ski. And the last step I'll do is I'll take my fiber cloth and wipe it down the ski base. And we're all set. So I now have a clean ski. I can now move on to the next step in the process, whether that be hot waxing or liquid waxing. Are you going to talk about the pros and cons of each? Yep. So, all right. So I'm going to go back to that first ski. I'm going to kind of do both skis at the same time. Yeah. So this stand, this wax bench, this is probably, I would say it's the second best product that Swix makes. Their best product that they make is a wax machine. I did not bring it here tonight. This is their second best product that they make. Their third best product is an electric scraper sharpener, which I also did not bring tonight. But all three of which are pretty expensive tools, but are really, really nice to have for the service that I do. This stand is $375 or $400 for just the profile. This stand here you can't buy anymore. Yeah. So. You should clean prior to every time. So the question was, need to get in the habit of repeating the question. Yeah. So the question was, do you need to clean prior to every wax? You should clean prior to every time you use an iron. Anytime you're using an iron, you don't want to iron in dirt, gunk, crap into your ski base. So you want to clean off the dirt, the gunk, the crap that's in there before you're ironing. It isn't as necessary prior to liquid waxing, but in certain conditions, it is definitely more helpful than not. So in the conditions we've had in the last day or two where it's been, unfortunately, a little bit of melting has occurred. When snow melts, it gets dirty because all that dirt kind of sits on top of the snow. And then it just, as it melts, that dirt stays on top and then it's clean snow underneath and it just gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. So as you get more free thaw cycles and warmer weather, the cleaning process is more important. But if you're on fresh, clean snow, you don't need to clean your skis very frequently because the snow is relatively clean. So glide cleaner. Yeah. So yeah, I cleaned with glide cleaner. That's that first step there. So cool. We're going to move on to the next step. So this is going to be a hot waxing step. So if you were to focus mostly on just liquid waxing, obviously you're going to skip this step. With hot waxing, things to note, having a nice iron, taking care of your nice iron. My iron is a little dirty right now, so I'm just going to clean it up here with this cloth, get rid of all this kind of gunk that is on there. But this is probably one of the most important tools that to spend your money on is a nice iron. So if you're going in and with the expectation that you want to hot wax your skis, we do have irons for underneath $100. The issue with those irons that are underneath $100, the max temperature on those irons are like 150 to 160, which in theory is great because I like to use waxes. I'm melting in waxes at between 150 and 160 almost all the time. That's kind of where I'm melting temperatures at. The issue is that if you set it to 160, well, those cheap irons, they're not very powerful. And when you're using the iron, touching it to the ski, that 160 is now down to 155, now down to 150. By the time you get to the end of the ski, you've dropped 5 or 10 degrees because the iron is not powerful enough. The plate is not thick enough to be able to take care of that. So upgrading to $150 iron versus spending money on like an $80 or $90 iron, you're going to get an iron that has a much higher iron temperature. So this Rex iron here, the box label says that it can get up to 180 degrees, but I can crank this thing up to 200, and I'll say 200 on the digital readout, and it starts smoking like crazy. I haven't hit a digital thermometer to it to check it out, but I'm imagining with the amount of smoke that rolls off of this, it probably is close to 200. I'm not waxing at 200 very frequently, but having an iron that has a capability of getting up to 200 means that when you're waxing at 160, it's going to remain fairly consistent as you're waxing throughout the ski because it is powerful enough to hold that temperature. Mm-hmm. So the Rex iron is by far the best mid-range iron on the market. Getting into that $150 iron, this one gets up to that somewhere between 180 and 200 degrees. The Swix and Toco alternatives, they get to like 160 to 170. They do maintain that temperature fairly well because they're more powerful than their cheaper alternatives. But they only get up to that 160 or 170. There are circumstances and types of waxes that you want to get a higher iron temperature up to 180, even 200 degrees. So, but what I'm demonstrating tonight, I'm not going to be doing that. So, with hot waxing, what I generally recommend is to buy one hot wax. If you're just training, a blue hot wax is great. Because what you can do is you can augment that hot wax with liquid waxing to be more condition specific. So you don't need to be condition specific in training with your melt-on waxes because you have the liquid waxes that can get you to condition specific. For races, yeah, it makes a bit of a difference to have condition specific hot wax, but that's where you're starting to get a little bit more expensive in terms of like, okay, do I need 5 or 6 different melt-on waxes and 5 or 6 different liquid waxes and 4 or 5 different roto waxes where I can just have one melt-on wax and like 3 or 4 liquid waxes and call it good. So that's my general recommendation for training. Just blue. This is all I usually ever put on is Rex blue here. This is Rex. So Rex blue. But Swix PS6 is the primary zeroing wax for the US ski team. That's all they ever use is PS6 from Swix. The reason is that Swix gives them a crap ton of money and they need to spend it on something. So they're buying 10 to 20 kilos of PS6 a year. So they just need to spend their money somewhere, and that's an easy place for it to spend it. But there's no real, you're not gaining a lot by going from one company's blue to another company's blue. I'm not going to say that. I'm a Rex guy. I sell Rex. This wax isn't that much better than PS6 or that much better than Toco Red or that much better than Vouti Blue. It's just a good general training wax. So when you're applying these waxes, things to note is looking at the recommended temperature that the companies are selling. So this one says recommended iron temperature of 140 degrees. I'm going to show you applying this at 140 degrees right now. So I got my iron set to 140 degrees. And so the method that I like to do is going to be the crayon method, where I touch it to the iron, and I'm going to quickly crayon it to the ski. So the wax is still going to be melted on here, and you'll see when I get to the end of the ski, I got crayoned on there, nice thin coat along that. So what I want to show you is me applying this at 140 degrees. So I have my iron set to 140 degrees. That is what Rex recommends on the package. And now, I don't know if people can notice or if they're counting how long it's taking me to get down the ski. It's pretty slow. So that took me probably 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. And I still missed a couple spots here and there throughout this. I don't like to recommend this. So that recommended iron temperature is way too low. So with a lower iron temperature, I have to move my iron slower in order for that wax to melt. When I'm moving the iron slower, that 140 degree iron is touching the surface of the ski considerably longer. If I bump the temperature up on the iron, yes, the iron is hotter, but it's going to be touching the ski considerably less time. It means that the ski is going to actually be in better shape because of that. So generally, with this Rex Blue, the minimum temperature I recommend is like 150. So bumping it up 10 degrees. Personally, I use like 160, just because I can move that iron a little bit faster. Yep. So yeah, so it is much less likely to burn your skis if your iron is touching the ski base longer or shorter. The most risk that you have of burning your skis is using a low temperature iron. One fun story that I have from I was in Norway on spring break trip in 2016, 2017 when I was coaching for Williams College, and we were in a community wax room, just kick waxing our skis for the day. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw an individual waxing their skis with PS6 or PS7 from Swix. And I noticed that their iron temperature was like 115 or 120 degrees, which is like way too low. That's below the recommended iron temperature from Swix. And in order for her to fully melt the wax into the ski, she was ironing her ski. It took her about a minute and a half of the iron was touching her ski base. There were certain spots that like, okay, it just got melted in, but there was other spots, specifically here and here, which are kind of critical spots on the ski, that it was liquid. It could not cool down to room temperature for almost 5 minutes. She nuked that base. Just again, with that lower iron temperature. So what I'm going to do here is I will show you the difference between ironing at 140 degrees and ironing at 160 degrees. It's just always been recommended that way. So Rex recommends it at that 140. I can tell you right now that the Yuzo, he's the head chemist and the head waxer at Rex, he doesn't wax at 140. He's waxing probably at 180 or 200. He just maxes out his iron. And that's, again, same thing I do at the shop there. Don't necessarily max out my iron, but I'm now at 160. So you just crank it up just now. That's pretty fast. Does it heat up that fast? Yeah. So this is a digital readout. So I have it set to 160. It overshot it up to 162. It's now down to 161. You know, kind of hover around there. So, yeah, it's a nice, powerful iron. So, okay. So I'm doing the same crayon method. One tip with this is if you watch, I have the iron. This corner of the iron here, that's where the wax would drip off of. I have it placed right over the ski. So if I do have a wax drop off the ski, I'm having it go or drop off the iron. It is landing on the ski. Something I'm not wasting wax. Not a huge deal either way, but also just less wax for me to clean up later. So crayon that. Yeah, if I splash, like if I hit it, I could splash it, or I don't know. I just don't like the feeling of waxy hands. So, all right, and then ironing. So the question was, what am I watching for when I'm ironing? Basically, is I'm watching the backside of the iron and making sure that everything is getting fully melted. If I move too quickly, I can tell that it's not melting enough. If I'm moving too slowly, I can see that there's going to be like kind of those liquid spots. But it's kind of more of a feeling like, again, I've done this for years and years and years. I've waxed thousands of pairs of skis. So I get an idea of how fast I need to move. It's something that comes with, like, the more you do it, the easier it is to understand. But yeah, I basically did that ski probably in half the amount of time as I did the 140-degree ski. So it's much, much safer on that ski. Wax that way. Exactly. Yes. So it's always better to move fast. Do it a second time. If you're doing a second pass, go to the second ski first. Yes, give it time to cool. So, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm just reading the comments in there. So, yes, there was another question. Yeah, so the question was that this is a skate ski. On a classic ski, you're just going to do the glide area. So you're going to skip out on the kick zone. If you're on a skin ski, you shouldn't melt wax into the skin as well. So, all right, so we're going to move on to the next step here of hot waxing, and that is scraping and brushing. So this is probably the single area where paying for our Berkey service, this is where this is where we make our money, is on scraping and brushing. So let me grab some stuff out here. So the number one most important thing in scraping and brushing, having good tools, sharp scrapers. Sharp scrapers mean everything. That third best product that Swix makes, a $250 electric scraper sharpener. I always have a sharp scraper all the time. It means that I can do a better job of scraping, take less time scraping, and all around it's just better. So with this, I will always do the grooves first. The reason why I do the grooves first is so that way if I accidentally miss the groove and it pops out, I'm only going to be making a mark in the wax that is currently on the ski base, and rather than the ski base itself. So I'll do the grooves and I'll do the edges of the ski. Exact same reason why is if I screw something up, I'm just damaging the wax and not the ski itself. So then I will take the scraper. And with a nice sharp scraper, I don't have to do a lot of work here to get all the wax off. So there's two different trains of thoughts for scrapers and thicknesses. So the question is what's the best scraper thickness? So the primary thickness of scrapers you're going to see is 3 millimeters. That's what I prefer to use. And then 5 millimeters, which is what I usually recommend. The reason behind why I recommend a 5mm scraper is because it is very stiff. It's less pliable. Means that when you're using it, it's really easy to keep that scraper straight. A straight scraper is going to be much healthier for your ski bases. So you want to have that scraper straight. If you bend this 3mm scraper, either pushing too much here or too much there, you're going to potentially make your bases not flat. It's not a good thing. The reason why I prefer 3mm scrapers is because I'm waxing every single day on skis that are usually not flat. I need a scraper that I can actually physically bend to get to the certain parts of the ski. So like this ski here, this is a broken ski. This is a warranty ski. There's a section right here. You can kind of see that it didn't get fully scraped. What I can do with this scraper is put a little bit more pressure and like move this scraper around. And there, I just got off that little spot of missing wax. That's because I'm using this 3mm scraper. But for most part, most people should be using a 5mm scraper because it's just gonna be healthier for your ski bases. If you are starting from a flat ski, a 5mm scraper is better. If you're starting from a ski that is not flat, yeah, the 3mm scraper might help out. But generally what I would recommend is getting a stone grind to make your ski flat and then continue to use that 5mm scraper. So,
You have to buy a lot of scrapers to justify a $250 scraper sharpener, right?
I don't have to buy a lot of scrapers. I can just, I sharpen my scraper after every 2 or 3 pair of skis that I'm waxing. I wax 30 to 40 pair of skis a day. $5. Yeah, it is a lot of scrapers, but I wax a lot of skis, and I like the ability to have a sharp scraper. We don't sell a lot of those scraper sharpeners. I think I've bought 2 for the shop. Maybe I've sold 1. Okay. There's manual scraper sharpeners that work great. It's just a little bit more work than I want. I just want to go and then be done with it. So, okay, so moving on to the next step here is brushing. So I got the ski scraped. I'm going to show you 2 different ways of brushing. So one is going to be using hand brushes here. So the 2 brushes that I primarily use with melt-on waxes is going to be a metal brush. I'm usually recommending a steel brush and then a nylon brush. So the metal brush is always going to be the first one there, using it in a singular direction. And you can see this wax that's coming up off the ski, this little dust. That is moving the wax from the structure of the ski. This steel brush with the fine bristles gets it out. So because I did such a good job of scraping, because it was just a flat ski with a sharp scraper, I didn't have to do a lot of work in order to get all that wax out. The next step after that, then I like to use my nylon brush to just polish the ski base. So the nylon brushes, you can scrub back and forth, and that's going to get a nice shine on the ski base. So there we go. Scraped and brushed ski. So the question was, if you're putting a liquid wax on top of the hot wax, do you still want to use a nylon brush? I generally like to. It might not be necessary, but I just like the fact that you're polishing that wax, you're polishing the base, it's getting a nice shine on the base, and then you're going to put the liquid wax on top of that, which makes it, again, you're going to get a nicer shine, a nicer finish to the base afterwards. So I don't think it hurts. I don't know if it helps. So, yes. Don't use it. No. So the question was, basically, can you reuse the wax shavings? You really shouldn't. The main reason is that while we did clean the ski bases, it doesn't always get fully clean. If you're bringing this stuff up, you're bringing up maybe potentially some gunk in there. If your base has been damaged in terms of like over time bases just get worn down. There's some times where I'll scrape a ski and there'll be like kind of black coming out with that wax. It's just a sign that you have some unhealthy base material. Well, I don't want to turn that blackish wax as unhealthy base material back into wax and melting that back into my ski bases. So, yeah. So this is just junky wax now. So, all right. So I got the second ski scraped. And now I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools to use is a roto brush. So roto brushes may sound scary, but they really, really are a big help. So what a roto brush does is it will reduce the amount of work that you have to use with a hand brush. I can do a better job with a roto brush in a fraction of the time. I do not believe that I can do as good of a job with a hand brush as I can ever do with a roto brush. More on like harder waxes, like your harder blues, your harder greens. It's almost impossible to brush out those well enough with a hand brush, and that's where like a roto brush really does make a big difference. And the roto steel makes an even bigger difference. So there's a few different types of brushes, roto brushes. There's going to be your nylons, your horsehairs, your steels, just like there is in hand brushes. The roto steel, this is kind of the gold standard for brushing out your skis. The gold roto steel will get the most amount of wax out of the structure of the base in the quickest time possible. So with this, when you're using a roto brush, you'll always want to use it in the exact same direction. So when I'm doing that, I'm always going to have the roto brushing away from me. And how I know I'm doing that is that there's on your roto device, there's the button that you can push out. I will always have my thumb pressed on that button so I know that it's going that direction. And if I have my tips always on the same side of the ski, and I have the brush aligned to the drill the exact same way, so I will always have the steel aligned to the chuck. I know that this brush is going to be brushing the exact same direction every single time. If I were to swap this direction and have it come towards me, or if I were to have this brush rotated 180, those bristles are now going to be rotating the opposite direction of what they are used to, and I could potentially damage the brush or damage the ski. So, but exactly, doesn't matter which way as long as it's the same way, and that's just how I always do it. Is always away from me, always having the brush on this side of the steel attached to the chuck, and then the tips on the right side. So with this, I'm going to go full speed on a drill. With a cordless drill, I'm generally recommending somewhere between 1,600 and 2,000 RPMs. I prefer that 2,000 RPMs. Anything less than that, and it's just not powerful enough to get the wax out. Anything more than that, and you're at risk of damaging your ski base because it does create some friction, some heat. You could potentially burn your skis if you're using a steel brush at 4,000 RPM. So generally that 2,000 RPM is what you're shooting for. So I'm going to do this here. All right. So what you guys saw is I did 2 passes with the steel. Then the other brush here that's connected to it is a horsehair brush. This is going to help get a little bit of a polish on the ski base. What you did notice is I did go forwards on the ski. I also went backwards on the ski. But as I'm going backwards on the ski, because the drill is rotating 2,000 RPMs in the forward direction, the brush is always moving that direction no matter how fast I'm moving this way. So you don't ever have to worry about that. But with this, that's all I needed to do on the ski. And I've now brushed this ski considerably better than what I have the other ski. Yep, I will always use both brushes there. So this ski got a much nicer brush, a much nicer finish than the hand brush. And it took me a fraction of the time. So when I'm waxing, or when we're waxing 300-400 pair of skis for the Berkey, that's a helpful tool. But when we were waxing 1 pair of skis and I want to do a good job, that's also a helpful tool. Yes. So I did one with the hand nylon just because it is. I just want to get like somewhat of a polish on it. I don't care if it's a hand nylon or if it's a or roto nylon, roto horsehair. You're just getting a little bit of polish on there, knowing that you're going to do a liquid layer afterwards. So. When they stop working. So the question is, how do you know when your brush needs to be replaced? It's a tricky question. Most people brushes don't need to be replaced all that frequently. I'm replacing my brushes at least once or twice a year. But again, I'm brushing a lot more skis than anybody else, and probably brushing more skis than everybody in this room combined. So we get new brushes fairly frequently. But basically, when they stop working, when it just doesn't seem like they're picking out the wax nearly as well, it's probably time for a new brush. Or cleaning your brush. I did see a question in the comments there about cleaning brushes. So what you saw me doing as I'm like before I'm brushing out ski, I will be pushing like with the bristles, trying to get this wax out of the brush here. I do the same thing if I want to clean out this. I can do it with a scraper. Or the best thing, and this is what we have at the Pioneer, our benches are set up with a vacuum cleaner. I'll just turn the vacuum cleaner on and just vacuum off the brush. So that does help out with that. So, all right, let's go on to the next step here, and that will be liquid waxing. So I'll show 2 ways to apply liquid waxes. But one of my highlights that I had last year was talking about that melting on your blue and then choosing waxes for your specific conditions. And I'll just briefly talk about that. So Rex has 4 different liquid waxes, 4 different colors that you can choose from. So there's the blue, pink, yellow, and black. Blue is really good for natural snow, slightly above freezing to, into the teens. Yellow is going to be good for natural snow above freezing. We don't have these conditions here in the Midwest very often because when we get natural snow above freezing, like what we currently have now, it melts and it disappears and we're back on the man-made stuff. So this is not a wax that works really all that frequently here in the Twin Cities area. That's where the NF41 comes into play. This is designed for man-made snow, transformed snow, and also cold snow. So cold snow and man-made snow work very similarly. They're very abrasive, and it's just a very durable wax. And then the black wax is for new snow. So really when somebody comes into the shop and they say, hey, I need a couple liquid waxes for the Twin Cities area, I'm generally showing them either the G21 and the G41 or the NF21 and the NF41 waxes because you have one for natural snow, you have one for man-made snow and cold snow. That covers 90 to 95% of our conditions that we see here. If we're lucky, we're going to see a few more days where the black waxes work. This is a really good wax when it works because we got new snow and it's fun to ski in new snow. But new snow doesn't stay new snow for very long. Generally transforms in, 2 or 3 days. And then we're back onto just natural mixed snow. So just that's all I want to talk about the specific differences. I just do want to show quick application. So application for these waxes, going to take the dauber, exact same application as what we saw with the Glide Cleaner. And what you'll see is I like to prime these bottles on the tip of the ski, and that just helps get the liquid flowing down the ski bases. And then I'm just going to use these small little circles to get complete coverage of the ski base. And then go up and down the ski once. And so now these newer waxes from Rex, the NF series waxes, have a quick drying agent. So these skis do dry pretty quickly. They'll dry in 2 or 3 minutes if you're at like room temperature. If it's colder, if you're waxing outside, they do take a little bit longer to dry. But generally, by the time I get done waxing the second ski, the first pair of skis is pretty much done and ready to go. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Little small circles. And this is the step that really does make a big difference if you're just trying to go out and enjoy yourself out in snow. Is liquid waxing. Liquid waxing is really nice because, again, you can get more condition specific, but it also gives you a little bit better feeling of the ski. They're going to be generally a little bit more slippery when you put on that liquid wax up as opposed to a hot wax. The issue is that if you're just use liquid waxes and liquid waxes alone, they're generally not as durable as a melt-on wax. The ideal thing that you want to do is just use a combination of both. So use that hot wax to help increase the durability of the liquid wax you're putting on top. The liquid waxes do last a long time if you have the right waxes underneath. So that's a big.
So if you're using both, how many skis can you get before you should go back and hot wax again? So like, do you like every time before you ski, you liquid wax, and then every X number of skis go back and do a hot wax?
Yeah. So the question is that when should you hot wax after liquid waxing? And it really all depends. I mean, that's my answer. I'm going to say it's I get people ask me, oh, what should I do? Well, it depends. It depends on conditions. It depends on the waxes that you're using. But the cleaner the snow, the newer the snow, the less frequently you have to use hot wax. The dirtier the snow or the icier the snow, the more frequently that you have to hot wax. The last 2 years have been pretty rough for us in the Twin Cities. We've had a lot of ice because we've all been at Elm Creek and Highland and Theodore Worth and Battle Creek. And the amount of damaged skis I've seen come in, not from just like skiing on, like they're good conditions. It's just you're skiing on ice cubes. And it seals bases and it screws bases up pretty quickly if you're not using the hot wax more frequently. And so you want to be using hot wax more frequently when you're on that type of conditions versus the snow that we have right now, which is, well, maybe not necessarily now anymore, but previously is really good. Like I would go out for a 30 or 40K ski and come back and my bases still looked fine. Versus last year, if I did 30 or 40K ski at Elm Creek, my bases would be so screwed up. They'd just be white and look like they really need wax. So long answer is it all depends. But generally 3 to 4 outings you want to go out and do hot wax. But if your outings are 50K long, maybe every time you go out. So it's, I don't know, every 20 to 30K, give or take, you should probably be putting in at least 1 layer of hot wax. So
if you see white, is that too late?
No, it's not too late, but if it just means that you're gonna probably have to do that hot wax a little bit more frequently in the future, or potentially get a stone grind. So okay, so I'm going to show 2 different ways to apply this wax. I showed you how to apply it to the ski. There's 2 different steps you can do. I will show you the at-home method. The at-home method does not include this table. So the at-home method would be you can apply this just like this here. Then take your nylon brush and brace it against your foot. And that nylon brush, you just scrub back and forth. You don't need any fancy equipment to do this. It's a little bit more awkward, but it can be done. So, and then you'll take your fiber cloth. You can take really whatever method to wipe the ski off. That's it. You can be at home with just a liquid wax, just a nylon brush, and you're going to be better than most people that don't ever wax their skis. Yeah, you could definitely do that every ski. I mean, I like to because I like to have skis that glide well. So the next method that you can do is going to be roto wooling. And this is going to be the primary method that we recommend. The reason behind a roto wool and what a roto wool is, you can see here, big fluffy thing. So roto wooling, what this will do is it will help to reduce the film thickness of this wax. So right now, what you'll see on that ski, you'll see the kind of the dusty film. That is the wax that is on the ski base, but it is not uniform whatsoever. There's thick spots and thin spots on the micron level. And what you want to be able to do is make that film thickness uniform across the ski base. The best way to do that is with a roto wool. So there's two different trains of thought when it comes to roto wooling. You can either use the same drill setup that you currently have. So I will use my cordless drill. This is, again, spinning at 2,000 RPM. And so I will take this and at 2,000 RPM work this in. When I'm using these drills, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this. I'm basically, it's the weight of the drill and the weight of my hand just kind of resting on top of it. So that's at 2,000 RPM. But the ideal method is to be using another tool, and that will be an impact drill. And the reason why an impact drill is that this is going to spin considerably faster. So an impact drill spins closer to that 4,000 RPM. You're going to need a specialized handle for that. So Star makes a specialized handle that has an impact adapter. I know that there's other companies that are working on developing that. But now I have this. This is now going to be spinning at 4,000 RPM. And that's going to do a considerably better job of managing that film thickness. Now, after I've done the roto wool, I'm always going to move on to the that nylon hand brush for that final polish. So it's still similar as what I'm doing with the other method, is I will still finish with that nylon hand brush. So. All right. There, we have all that done. I now have a pair of skis that are fully waxed, ready to go. And that kind of concludes the entry-level part of the clinic. We will have plenty of time for Q&A. I will probably be starting a secondary live stream for the Q&A for those that are on. That'll start here in, let's say 15 minutes at, well, let's say 12 minutes at 7:35 is when we'll start another Q&A section for those that are listening online. Oh, yes? Sure, I think that there was yeah, so I talked about the brush cleaning. The second question that somebody had on the live stream was, how do you know if you have scraped well enough? Can you scrape too much? You definitely can't scrape too much. You cannot. I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's possible to scrape too much. But how you know you've scraped enough is that visual inspection of the ski, there's not wax on there. I will say that one of these skis, I did miss a spot. So I will show this to people afterwards a little bit. It's hard to see it on the, I'll try and see if we can see it on the camera at all. But there's a shiny spot right here. There's a little bit of wax that's missing or that's still on the ski base. I probably should have brushed that out better or scraped that out better. But I can show you guys all this afterwards here. Yeah, visual inspection, you'll see if there's wax still on the base or not. If you can visually see wax, you could probably scrape that off. So, cool. Yeah, let's move that to 7:40 for the rest of the Q&A. Gives time for people to go get a beer. Matt Clark will be dealing with the raffle in this time as well. So if you haven't signed up for the raffle, go talk to Matt, and he'll get your name down for that raffle. So thank you.
Is this going to be recorded so we can go back and watch it?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
It is recorded already.
Awesome. Thank you.